In this video, we're going to have a look at the process for getting products into the PIM initially. So that initial load, you've got a blank PIM, you're going to use it, and basically you've got to get your product sets in. However, there are a number of steps to think about before you do that. So if you think about it, you're going to what you're doing is effectively you're extracting, your product data from your various sources, an ERP system, some other sources, and whatever. You're centralizing it in the PIM. So, it's about some of the steps you might want to consider before you do that, because this is a great, the whole purpose of the PIM, two of the key tenets of it is you know, what states my data in, how can I make it better, where am I going to use it? So there's lots of questions that you can ask yourself, and this is an opportunity to start analyzing your own data and making some of those changes that you've always wanted to. So effectively, extract the steps might be, extract your data sets from wherever it is, an ERP system, another data system. Initially, that might be into Excel, so you can have a look at the data before it goes in. Obviously, in a live situation, we're going to be integrating that data from another source or sources. For example, your images may be coming from, your existing website and so on. But we're looking at the very first stages. What do you do day one? So get your data out. Then analyze it. So you, with your data team, will, application platform will be there with you. But effectively, you've got to make some decisions. And some of that is quite fundamental to the PIM about how you're going to configure it and how you're going to structure it. One thing I will mention is a key decision is if you want to import your source data and use variants. And variants are a really important way for how you're going to display data in your future life. So, for example, if I'm in one of our portals, just for example, I'll just go back to, we've got some products here. We're having a look. These are just standard products, got a part number, but equally I really want to start using variants, to allow me to manage products much better. I'm not, the customer is not seeing 1,000 products. He's seeing a parent product, and then obviously the variants that you're doing. So a key decision, and ERP systems don't handle variants. They're just straightforward item master products. So, a key decision is really about, can you look at your data and analyze it? In this instance, this is an extract from SAP. It's got effectively the same descriptors, but really these are variants. So, when we're looking at our data, we can start to make some decisions. In this instance, there's a color variant or option, clear and amber. In this instance, there's clearly, volumes is a choice. So what we can do is we can, instead of entering whatever that is, lots of products, we can create a parent and then, within the PIM, create the options that a client can go to and just fill in. Clearly, you can also just import these as separate products in their own right, but to be honest, you wouldn't be using the power of the PIM, in doing that, and you'll make it harder for your customers to find things, or your salesmen to make those sorts of decisions. That's a personal opinion. So analyzing your data is not just about, am I going to use variants or not? There's a lot of other stuff that you're going to do. One of the other things you know, how you're going to analyze it. You could be analyzing it just in a spreadsheet. You could be using Power BI or Tableau or some other BI type tools to make those analysis. They're very good for those types of things. You know, you could be pushing it into a SQL database and manipulating the data anyway. But it's about analyzing your data sets, because really what you're looking to do is to enhance it, is to make it more accessible to people, easier to find, and all of those types of things. So it might be, you know, ERP systems are very restricted in, say, how you categorize something. You know, it's usually very flat tables, table one, subcategory. But the PIM allows you to, you know, do lots of things in terms of categorization. So, you know, going down multiple trees, you know, putting products into those areas. So, you know, you've got a lot more flexibility in doing that. It could be, you know, looking at additional fields. So you know, what additional fields do I need to do? So categorizations, tags, and some of these can be done later, but some of these things are about looking at your data, what state's it in, and a very important thing that you're doing at this stage is what type of data do you have that you do want to have in a particular field. So this is about, you know, data types. So is this text? Is it a decimal field? You know, is it a pick list? Is it multiple pick lists? So, you know, looking at this is a great opportunity to clean your data. And then having made those decisions, you know, we can now start to address them within the PIM itself. So, you know, making those structural decisions, and look at how we're going to import them. So we can start to configure the PIM, you know, in its which fields do we need additional, do we need to add things within that. And there are a whole series of videos that cover these particular points. And then really it's about having made those changes, and we can do this at any time. It's about how do we do that initial import into the PIM itself, and at application platform will work with you on those templates. So this is about, you know, getting the key item data into the system as part of that initial setup. So it's about, where's our data coming from? Let's analyze it. Let's see how we can make improvements on it. And therefore, what do we need to do within the PIM to set that data up? And therefore, you know, looking at how we get that data up. And the next video I'm going to do is literally take you through a very simple import for some data into the PIM. And then we'll start to look at some of the more complex stuff as we go on.